I'm Todd Bookspan, and welcome to your neighborhood real estate show. The hyperlocal real estate show where real estate professionals talk about the neighborhood you live in or the neighborhood you want to live in. This episode is brought to you by homebuyeruniversity.net, your free comprehensive guide to buying or refinancing your home. Click over to homebuyeruniversity.net to get started online today. Hey everyone, I'm Todd Bookspan, and welcome to another episode of Your Neighborhood Real Estate Show, where I'm super excited to introduce you to my friend Matt Manoogian. Matt's got a couple of companies. Normally we talk about one, but we're going to talk about two: Good Life Real Estate and then No, I got it backwards. We're going to talk about Good Company Real Estate, and then I'm reading your hat, Good Life Vacation Homes. Which is super exciting. And so, full disclosure, I go way back with Matt, and we talk more about travel and beer than we do about real estate. So,
yes, we do.
But real quick, let's sort of talk about you. How did you get into real estate? How long you been doing it? And what was life like before you were a realtor? That kind of thing.
Sure. So I graduated from Arizona State University, moved here for Arizona State University in 1997, graduated in 2001.
All right, so you're Sun Devil. All right, that's a good place to start.
Sun Devil,
right.
Yep.
Cool.
Went right from there, went into commercial financing, sales, and so helped small businesses get financing for their equipment, and did not just really, corporate America didn't really jive with me that well, and so I lasted about 2 years and then started my own business.
2 years, that's not bad.
No, it's not bad. I mean, it was a great experience too. Great phone experience, great sales experience, boiler room type mentality. Luckily, the ethics were still there with that company too, so
That's
it wasn't.
awesome.
Yeah, so that was great. But it was just, that just job wasn't for me. So. Started a real estate investment company with two other gentlemen. I was the workhorse. Another one was the connection person that put everything together, and he was my contact, and he had the money guy too. So, and we were 1/3 partners, which was great. That's a really amazing opportunity that I had, at the age of 23, 24.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic. Obviously, if you're following the timeline of this and you know about the boom and the bust, we started before the boom, thrived during the boom, and got crushed during the bust. So we did not foresee it coming. I was not as into statistics and trends and being able to spot a market from when it is a bubble or when it was going to potentially take a downturn, even if it's not a bubble. I did not have that skill back then. So,
which we'll talk about, because you're one of the people I know who's most connected with that skill today.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I got a very expensive lesson. It cost far more than the education at ASU did.
Yeah.
But that's okay, because it was well worth it. And, I've been asked multiple times, go back in time, can you change it? Well, yeah, it'd be great to have that capital, but if I didn't also get the learning experience, it probably wouldn't have been worth it.
Right, and you get better advice today because of it.
Better advice for others and for our own stuff. We're in it, and we're doing the same thing that we're counseling people on doing. So,
love that. All right, so then crash hits. That company sounds like goes bust, and then and then you jumped in as a normal real estate agent, as an investor. What was the next step for you?
Yeah, actually, I was a short stint as a loan officer and real estate agent.
Oh, all right, I missed that part of your career.
Yeah, so I did. Well, it was very short. So it was that gap of time towards the latter years of the boom, and then right when loan officers got licensed, I decided I'm not going to be both licensed as a real estate agent and a lender. So I just gave up the mortgage.
Went with your heart.
Yeah, I went with the real estate. Yeah.
That's awesome, and that's what you're doing now.
So I'm doing now. That was 2008 that I got licensed in real estate, and even though I had been buying and selling homes, since 2003 for myself since 90, I think I got my first house when I was 99, so I was a sophomore going on junior in college.
That's awesome.
It was great, and then throughout that whole experience, just rented out the rooms and more than paid for itself.
Same thing I did, between freshman and sophomore year.
It's brilliant. I think I advise everybody to do that because, if you're living in a college town and you have the opportunity to do that, then absolutely, for your kids or for yourself as a student.
So that's idea number one. If you're listening to this and you've got a child or a grandchild that's going to college, this may be a great time to help them out with their first investment property.
Yes, 100%.
All right, love that. All right, so fast forward to today. I know you as an investor. I know you as a leader of a real estate company. So you guys do residential, people buying and selling homes.
Yep.
And then you'd already said that you counsel people on buying rental properties. And then you recently, within the last 2 years, have opened up Good Life Vacation Homes.
That's correct, yeah. So Good Life Vacation Homes, we're very passionate about it. It is the vacation rental management. So for short-term rentals, we always say minimum 2 days. So 2 days, up to however long the person wants to stay there, fully furnished, preferably decked out type housing. That's nice. It takes a little bit of an investment up front, but those rents do make up for it in the short and the long term.
I mean, I feel like every time I go somewhere, right, because I Airbnb stuff and I'm getting short-term vacation rentals, right? If we're staying more than a few days, if we're staying a couple days, we might just do the hotel route. But I'm always like, I wonder if I could buy a house here, right? And I'm looking online and I'm checking out, vacation rentals, and they could be really cool to own. And then I think about, wait, and then I actually have to let someone in the house. Then I've got to make sure it's clean and that there's new sheets before the next person comes. And then I'm like, I don't want to do that. But that's what your management company does. You're the easy button for someone who wants to have it. So you've got the market statistics. You actually personally do it yourself. Now you've helped lots of people buy them, and then now you're managing them as well.
Yeah, that's correct. And so a lot that you just unfolded there. So I'll do my best of recapping kind of what it was. But when you're traveling, my wife and I and our little girl, we love traveling, like you said. And we also use Airbnb as the vast majority of the time. And when there's a turnover, meaning that a new tenant is coming in or going out, we've been on both the positive and the negative side as consumers of a bad transition and a good transition. So we have that insight just as consumers, which most people do. Most people have that by now. They understand what it is. They just don't know what goes into making it a good transition. So we offered a full service solution. We do not do part-time service. There's other companies out there that will charge a lower management fee and they'll do your bookings, right? But then you need to make sure the place is clean, or to do turnovers, or to manage it from the booking time to completion. There's a lot of different things, and there's a different price level for each one of those things. And it goes all the way up to far above where we're at too. But we offer everything that the top tier company does, and we're charging right in the middle of the road.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we found that just to be, it makes us enough money, and it saves enough money for the investor to make sure that there are deals out there that they can still buy and have it make sense to make a short-term rental. Yeah,
it's a win-win. You're not greedy. You're making it fair to them, but you're making it so that you guys can afford to stay in business.
Exactly, and we need to pay our people well because they're great.
Well, and I think that's super important, right? Always super important. So, is there a particular area of the Phoenix, Metro Phoenix area that you think is great for vacation rental, or is there certain criteria that you're looking for when helping someone find a vacation rental home?
Yeah, so there are the most popular spots, of course. You're seeing great rents in, of course, Scottsdale, down to Old Town Scottsdale, but there's also a lot of competition there as well. Kierland is a great area.
North Scottsdale.
North Scottsdale, border Phoenix. That great downtown Phoenix is a great area.
So kind of near sports and activities, right? Kierland's near the Phoenix Open and near Barrett-Jackson. Downtown Scottsdale's near downtown Scottsdale. Yeah. Baseball's there. Baseball's on the west side. I mean, so there's lots of different, downtown Phoenix Suns and
if you identify a venue, kind of like you're saying, and you want to go somewhere near the venue, that's typically going to be a good idea. We just want to look at what the saturation in that market is, what it does to those nightly rates and the occupancy rates of those, and then also it's still going to be the right property. If you have a lot of the HOAs right now are cracking down on short-term rentals, and they're saying 30, 60, 90-day minimums, and those aren't going to be great fits. Usually.
Because you're going to rent it for less money, right?
Rent it for less money.
Shorter means more money in my experience of renting.
And so 30-day you can kind of work with. There's ways to do that, but when you get into those longer terms, it doesn't make much sense. You're probably better just to rent it long term, or look at and and we've told people this. So, and this is a really good tip. There are corporate rentals that they do 3 to 6 month rentals.
Oh yeah.
And they need them furnished. And they'll rotate their own people in there. But you have one tenant, so that's great. Like one paying tenant, right? Traveling nurses. Traveling nurses are great because they usually do 6-month stints, and Phoenix is pretty popular with them. So you can get very good tenants, well-paying, that are going to be there for 6 months, and they do need that furnished, and you are able to charge a little bit more for that.
I just love that idea. So what advice? So I mean, we'll get all your contact info in everyone's hands. Is there anything else that we should be telling people about vacation rentals before I start picking your brain about some other stuff?
Not every house is a good vacation rental. That's the most important thing, and we are very particular with who we take on as clients. Because of that, we want everybody to win, and so far all of our clients are winning, and we do not want to break that streak. So we'll be brutally honest with you. Our numbers are very conservative, and we let you know that they're conservative, but we also give a low, a medium, and a high. No one hits the low so far, and we want to continue with that. Average is usually about pretty safe with what it's going to be. And then your high, we've actually busted through the high a couple times too, which is nice because it is high. People will, say, well, if I had known that, I would have bought more than one of these properties. I'm like, well, so would everybody else. So it just happens sometimes that you're able to, for some reason, when you design a place and it has something that's popular right now, themed kind of situation, it can hit, and it can hit big.
So give an example of a theme situation. I think I know, but
well, the most popular one that I've seen right now is in Old Town. There are, and there's more in more areas, right? But there's a couple of properties that do specifically they market to bachelorette and bachelor parties. Now that sounds
that scares
like,
me right there.
right. It does, except that it's more bachelorette parties. Girls seem to be a bit more tame and take care of the place a little bit more, but also it's not like the 20-year-old, 25-year-old bachelorette parties, right? Well, in the 30s, and so they're having all the girlfriends come over, and they have like a mani-pedi set up. They have yoga classes set up. And you're able to provide these things through a concierge service.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And so the guys can do those things too, and it would be themed for maybe like a sports or a gambling theme, and that kind of thing. Whatever the group is into. If it's not complete debauchery, the concierge can make it happen, and that's pretty fun.
Yeah.
And it's yeah. So yeah,
I love it. So someone, you'll advise them, hey, if you live with this, the numbers make sense. This is the low. You guys are typically targeting the medium. That's what you should expect, and then might get fortunate and have a home run.
Might get fortunate, yeah. And the when you're looking at this, we do tell people if the numbers make sense as a short-term rental, but you're in an area that may change the laws on whether those are allowed or not. It still needs to make sense as a long-term rental, or at least make sense for you in your situation, so you're not forced into a sale at a potentially down market. And so for Arizona, we've been fortunate. We have, even now, it's still a pretty good market, right? For us, prices are high. If you didn't buy in May of this year, you may still have a little bit of equity, or a lot of equity if you brought previous years. So that may not be a big issue for you.
Right.
But it's definitely a consideration.
And I know, again, you kind of talk about equity and statistics. So, I mean, again, what I love, I first met you, you were the guy at the real estate office that you were part of that got up and gave the statistics to everyone. You were the educator of all the other agents with your knowledge. So how are you advising buyers in this market currently?
So yeah, that's given me some good reputation in our industry, which I really appreciate. And I need to make mention of who got me into that, which was Jeff Lucas, who's also a real estate legend nationwide, and more so even in the Arizona. And so he's wonderful, like-minded with me on the whole traveling situation. Life is to be lived and not a grind. So just thank you to Jeff Lucas. And so statistics, yes, I got very into those and continue to get more into those as we open up different businesses.
Yeah, I love that. And, I love it from a vacation perspective because when you do your anniversary trip, either you or Natalie pick the destination, but you don't tell the other person until you get to the airport. You don't know where you're going until you start wheeling up to the gate.
Yeah, and even then sometimes, like she did it to me this year, I was like, where was it? Austin or something else. And it was a layover.
Oh.
And I was like, we've already been to Austin. This is kind of breaking the rules. And no, and I was just, within 30 seconds it clicked. I'm like, okay, it's a layover, so I have to wait until we're in Austin before we find out where I actually go, which was still fun. And it takes a lot of trust to do that. And the reason it all came about was because we both had the idea that it would be so cool just to show up at the airport one day and pick where you're going. But it can get very cost prohibitive at that point, because typically if you pick a day that is popular, which our anniversary happens to be on that day every year, so this was our compromise, was that one person would be totally surprised, the other would plan it, and it works out great.
All right, so I just love that story. I think it's important that I bring that out for our listeners. All right, so talk about then this market now. It's a different market. Here we are, fall of 2022.
Yep.
And so just how are you advising people on what's going on in the market? Obviously, interest rates are high, inventory has picked back up, and people are scared of high interest rates. So what is, what are you telling your buyers and sellers?
Like buyers and sellers think it's a bad time to sell and a bad time to buy. So when you have that, transaction count goes down. All it is people are afraid and they need to be educated. And so what we're letting people know, if you need to sell for some reason, then sell and be reasonable with your price. The unreasonable people are just sitting, and they're just not going to. So if they just want to see what they can get and throw it out there, now is an absolutely horrible time to do that. It's a horrible time to put your house in the market if you don't need to sell and you just want to see what you can get and you're pricing it high, because it adds to the inventory there and it lets people know that people are still asking too much, and that's what's going through the whole buyer community's mind.
You're reaffirming the mentality in what people are talking about.
Yeah, so you're actually making the problem worse. Mm-hmm. The buyer side of it, if you need to buy, it's fine to buy right now. You can actually get a very good deal and negotiate for the people that actually need to sell or have to sell, and for some reason, then they're gonna be willing to deal, and you can get a very nice house with all your closing costs paid for, maybe even additional for a rate buy down, reduction of the price as well, and your repairs taken care of. I mean, there's lots of things that you can negotiate, so long as the agent that you hire is able to negotiate those things for you and to identify which properties those are. And you may need to take a couple of swings to find them, but it's okay. It's okay that you throw in an offer and they're sticking to their guns at their list price, but it doesn't work for you. Okay, next, move on. That's really all you need to do, but there are great deals there. We're still buying. We bought 2 properties last month. We're closing another one this month. We sold 3 that are under contract. And these are ours. And when I say this, I'm saying numbers for just my business partner and I.
Right, because you guys have a rental portfolio. So someone
do.
Who's listening and thinking, hey, I want to sell my property and I want a cash offer.
Yeah,
that'll be one more thing to reach out to you guys about.
That's exactly it. So we, that's what I said earlier on in our introduction, is that we're actually doing what we advise people to do. We're fixing and flipping. We're wholesaling. We're buying long-term rentals ourselves. We're buying short-term rentals ourselves, and we're selling those that don't make sense anymore. So, and there's lots of things. We could unfold this for hours on the whole investment thing, and I love it, but we just don't have the time today to get into that as much. But we're doing these things, and we're doing them right now because there are deals out there. And I do think that November and December are going to be even better. So, and potentially January, but we'll see. That's a little bit out. We may actually see a very quick recovery here in Phoenix. It just depends on some other factors that we don't know about yet. One of them mainly being employment.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Employment around a recessionary time is one of the indicators that people are watching.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and I think, I just love that. I mean, that's one of the beauties about Arizona. It's a resilient market, for sure. And it's just a place where people still want to move.
Yes, lots of people.
And I would say this, I mean, you mentioned, hey, if you don't have to move, don't sell. But, if you want to move, it's not a bad time. You're just have to be okay. You're going to take licks maybe on the sale, but then you're going to be able to do the same thing on the buy, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And so really the determining factor of whether that's a good idea or not is payment, right? And what your actual goal is, your monthly payment. So if you're all cash, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So there's no reason to be hesitant if you're buying with cash. If you're buying with financing, there is, because if you have a house that you have at a 2.5% rate and you're buying a house at 6%, that's going to drastically change your monthly payment. And so that's something that they need to consult you with. That's your area. So we tell them that too, just to give them a heads up. But it's...
Well, and you kind of alluded to it before, right? Buy downs are, super big thing right now.
Yes.
And then, the forecast, I like to think of us kind of like you on the real estate statistic side, that we're that way on kind of what's going on with interest rates and where they're heading. And, I believe it's a great time to buy. You may pay a higher payment, for the next 6 to 12 months, maybe 18 tops, and then we're going to have an opportunity to get lower rates again. Probably not 2.5%, but a lower normal, rate, something in the, with a 5 in front of it. Some people are saying even in the 4s again, which, long term historically is phenomenal. It's
very
just,
low.
We're going to have in that rear view mirror that whole thing about, I had 2.5% back in 2000.
That was a market mistake. I'm just telling you right now, in my opinion, it's a market mistake that we were ever that low during a booming economy. It shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't have been available to everybody who wants to buy an investment property. It was a blip, and I don't think that we're ever going to go back there again. I think the 4s are very possible, like you said, and also like you said, it's a refinance when the rates go down, just like people did 6-7 times in the last 10 years. So again, it's simply, if you lock in, you can get the actual lower price in these next couple of months buying a property. When you refinance at that lower rate, it's going to be that much lower. Waiting until the rates are low to purchase means that there's probably going to be a higher demand for the housing, and the prices will start going up again because affordability just got a lot better for people.
Yeah, I do think that that's it. I mean, we're really hearing that there's just so many people waiting, and when you wait, then you potentially waiting to pay a higher price because you'll miss the opportunity when everyone else is scared to jump in and get the best deal. So I love your prediction. November, December, great time to buy, maybe January. So we'll just have to follow up and hear that. I think the other thing that we really didn't talk about is, your team that you run. And I love the fact that, I know Nick and, a couple other folks on the team, that you great leader and make investments into them to help them grow their business. Anything you want to add on that?
Of course, anything I can talk about my team, I will. So Good Company Real Estate is the name of our real estate company. It's our brokerage and our team. We only house our team at the brokerage, and we only recruit to our team in the brokerage. And if you are interested in if you're a licensed real estate agent with experience, we only hire experienced agents, so you have to have, I won't go into the details of what experience you want, but absolutely reach out. We'd love to talk to you. We're looking to add 2 more agents here in the next 2-3 months, however long it takes, but we want the right people. So culture is our biggest thing, and so that's why we're pretty particular. We know we can coach with skills. As long as you're a coachable person, we can coach skills, but knowledge, good heart, and you have to have fun too. So we need a good energy in our office, and we have that right now.
Well, I like it. I wrote it down. Life is to be lived and not a grind.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, so people want to reach out. How do they find you?
You can, my phone number is 480-682-7533. You call me directly.
All right, we'll get that in the show notes. There you go. That's my friend Matt Manoogian. I think you all know why I had him on
Don't sign
here.
me up for anything, please.
All right. That was awesome. Thank you, sir.
Yes, my pleasure.
This episode is brought to you by homebuyeruniversity.net, your free comprehensive guide to buying or refinancing your home. Click over to homebuyeruniversity.net to get started online today.